I, that's tough to see. Well, thankfully, Meghan has now found the courage to talk about this on her podcast today.
Like I said, I was thankful for the job, but not for how it made me feel, which was not smart.
To climb up on to get to the top of the tree. And I've been fascinated to see the amount of branches that were built.
Please. Before Meghan Markle started pretending to be the perfect royal, she was already working her real magic. Not charm, not talent, but networking with surgical precision. While other actresses were begging for auditions, Meghan was perfecting her side hustle, social climbing with a smile
and little substance. And that's how it felt for me at the time, being reduced to this specific archetype.
Forget tiaras and titles. Her real throne was at Soho House, the exclusive playground for the rich and restless. And standing right next to her through every sip of champagne and every fake laugh, Markus Anderson, the guy who could turn a nobody into a somebody faster than you can say networking queen.
That I talked about with the great Megyn Kelly, the host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Find it on YouTube, SiriusXM podcast.
Let's talk about Markus Anderson, the man who somehow went from serving drinks to serving secrets. Before Meghan Markle was even a blip on royal radar, Markus was already busy climbing his own social ladder. He started out at Soho House London as a waiter, but this guy wasn't pouring cocktails. He was pouring charm, and he poured it well.
Markus Anderson is very unique in the Meghan Markle Disposable Friends series because Markus is indispensable.
Markus had a talent most people would kill for. He made powerful people feel like they needed him. By the time Meghan met him, he'd already transformed himself from an employee into the gatekeeper of the elite. If you wanted in, you had to go through Markus. Honestly, like there is no end to this woman's deceptive nature, to her abject dishonesty. That's what we are seeing here. She does this podcast with Paris Hilton, and that's exactly what Meghan did. She spotted opportunity the way a hawk spots prey. Markus had connections, and she wanted every last one. Before long, Meghan was jetting off on business trips funded by Soho House, rubbing elbows with producers, executives, and anyone who could inch her closer to fame. She didn't just meet Markus, she latched on. He opened the doors. She made sure she never left the room. It wasn't romance, it was a strategy. She does this podcast
with Paris Hilton on how, we've been labeled bimbos. It's so wrong. Meanwhile, Paris Hilton made millions of dollars off of that label, leaned into it robustly, which she discusses in the...
Markus gave Meghan what Hollywood hadn't, instant credibility. Suddenly, she wasn't that girl from Suits. She was the woman everyone wanted to invite. And Markus, he basked in it. Because let's be honest, even puppet masters like a little spotlight.
But Meghan Markle, you see, won't own it. Meghan Markle wants to complain about being objectified when she was suitcase girl number 24. Like she really thought somebody was going to talk to her about...
Meghan Markle with a designer bag and Markus Anderson by her side. Their friendship wasn't built on loyalty or laughter. It was built on leverage. 24 actually is the number of genomes in the measles sequence. She had no idea it was just going to be the number of the suitcase she was. It's ridiculous. Markus knew people. Meghan wanted to know them. Simple math. Together they became the ultimate social power duo, climbing their way through society's inner circles faster than anyone could blink.
24 actually is the number of genomes in the measles sequence. She had no idea it was just going to be the number of the suitcase she was going to It's ridiculous.
He introduced her to designers, directors, and philanthropists. The kind of crowd that could turn an actress into an icon, and Meghan soaked it up like it was oxygen. To her, Markus wasn't a friend. He was a career move in human form. What did she do? Did she run for Senate? Did she try to get a law degree? She go back to med school? No. Now she wants us to believe. He arranged the parties. She worked the rooms. He opened the doors. She flashed the smile. And just like that, Meghan went from hustling for bit roles to mingling with the global elite.
What did she do? Did she run for Senate? Did she try to get a law degree? She go back to med school? No. Now she wants us to believe.
But here's where it gets interesting. It was Markus who reportedly arranged that cozy little weekend at Soho Farmhouse. Yes, the same exclusive retreat where Meghan happened to meet Prince Harry. Coincidence, please. Why would she say that? I actually also posed for a saucy picture at one point in my life. I was 40. I was a news anchor. I was pregnant. I leaned in. Markus may not have worn a crown, but he played kingmaker like a pro. Every introduction, every photo op, every chance encounter was part of a bigger game because Meghan didn't believe in luck. She believed in logistics. And Markus Anderson, he was her secret weapon.
Why would she say that? Like, I actually also posed for a saucy picture at one point in my life. I was 40. I was a news anchor. I was pregnant. I leaned in.
Now, when Meghan snagged her prince, most of her old friends quietly disappeared. But Markus, oh no, he wasn't going anywhere. While Meghan's Hollywood pals stayed far away from the royal circus, Markus managed to do the impossible. He slipped inside the palace gates without a title, a pedigree, or a single drop of royal blood.
She is embarrassed that she's vain and vapid, and that's why she can't just own those moments.
He was everywhere. Pre-wedding parties, private holidays, secret dinners, always in the background, always smiling. The palace staff didn't know what to make of him. To them, Markus wasn't just a friend. He was a fixture that she had to overcome like poverty or dyslexia or something. It's like, no BS. You went to an audition. Some insiders even called him Meghan's shadow. Every time Meghan turned up somewhere, Markus was never far behind. He wasn't staff, but he acted like one. He wasn't family, but he sure behaved like he owned the place.
Is that because her ambition and her sense of self is that, I should be the senator, the president, she's trying to pretend that these things in her backstory.
Some insiders even called him Meghan's shadow. Every time Meghan turned up somewhere, Markus was never far behind. He wasn't staff, but he acted like one. He wasn't family, but he sure behaved like he owned the place. You said, I want to do this because it was fun to do. But instead, she has to in order to achieve her next goal. And the royals noticed quietly, awkwardly, and easily because Markus didn't play by palace rules. He didn't bow to anyone, didn't take orders, didn't care about hierarchy. His loyalty was to Meghan, and that made people nervous, very nervous.
You said, I want to do this because it was fun to do. But instead she has to, in order to achieve her next goal.
Rumors started swirling that Markus still had a hand in her every move, even after she became the Duchess. Some even whispered he was still pulling strings from behind the scenes. Because in royal circles, no one gets that close unless they have a reason. And Markus, oh, he definitely had one. Over-intellectualized.
To turn around and redefine her past. I think people would feel less angry, because I don't know if they'll ever feel positive about it, but less angry if she just turned around and said, sure, I look good, why wouldn't you?
Then came the moment that sent royal insiders into a total meltdown. It started as a whisper, one anonymous source close to Markus Anderson dropping a cryptic remark about his unbreakable bond with Meghan. But in royal gossip, a whisper is all it takes for a hurricane to hit.
Intellectualize this garbage like she's trying to win over a bunch of morons at a dinner party. That must have been
100%.
terrible for you.
Right, to have been so objectified. She wants us now to believe that she was standing there waiting to be asked about Bashar al-Assad, and then she found out that 24 was actually the accumulation of everyone's IQ in the room. Like, she knew.
Hours, tabloids went feral. Headlines screamed that Markus Anderson, Meghan's so-called best friend, had finally spilled royalty. Suddenly, every photo, every trip, every cozy dinner between them was evidence. The palace freaked out. PR teams scrambled. Calls were made. Stories pulled. Meghan, who was already battling the press, now had a new crisis. And this one came from inside her own circle.
Now, Markus started off at Soho House, London as a waiter, and he worked his way up. Now, this is an astounding story in itself. He worked his way up to global membership director.
Just silence, which of course only made it worse. People started asking, what did Markus really know? What had he seen? What could he say if he ever decided to talk? And his job was to find the best and the brightest of that city to invite to the founding members' party. And they didn't just invite anybody. Meghan was furious. Insiders claimed betrayal cut deep, especially when it came from the man who helped build her brand. It was the ultimate royal irony. The one person who helped make her untouchable had now become her biggest liability, and his silence. Oh, that was the loudest part of all.
And he was a global membership director when he first met Meghan. Now, his job was to go to a new city wherever they were opening up a new Soho House.
When the so-called Markus leak hit the press, Buckingham Palace basically went into cardiac arrest. You could practically hear the pearls clutching all the way from London to Los Angeles. Sort of imply that just because she was in suits that was how she met Markus Anderson in Canada. Behind those stone walls, it was chaos. Aides running around, phones ringing off the hook, everyone trying to figure out how a glorified Soho House socialite had just shaken the monarchy. The PR team called it containment mode. Translation, panic mode. They wanted to know who talked, who leaked, and what Markus Anderson might be hiding. Because if this man ever opened his mouth fully, there'd be no tiaras left to polish.
In the social scene of the city where they were opening up. Now, it always worried me that all of the biographers that have done books on Meghan Markle, and also a lot of people that have done interviews and magazine articles.
Meanwhile, Meghan's team scrambled to fix the mess. Soft statements about loyalty and misunderstood friendships started popping up everywhere, but it was too late.
Sort of imply that just because she was in suits, that was how she met Markus Anderson in Canada.
And Markus, he just vanished. No tweets, no appearances, nothing. The guy who once couldn't walk into a party without being photographed suddenly turned into a ghost.
That always worried me because I knew that in those early seasons of Suits, they pretty much weren't on the map with many people. And I couldn't see that Markus Anderson would necessarily meet her.
And I found the Toronto Life social pages. That silence was deafening and dangerous because in royal circles, silence doesn't mean innocence. It means you're holding all the receipts. The palace wanted this story buried. Meghan wanted it erased. But the tabloids, they smell blood. And in the royal food chain, once they taste scandal, they never let go. After the fallout, Markus Anderson's name became radioactive. No one dared say it out loud, but everyone was whispering it behind closed doors.
And I doubted that she would have the cachet to be at the opening night party. But these were just all my own ideas, and I couldn't really prove anything, but it niggled at me.
Because here's the truth. Markus had seen everything. The dinners, the arguments, the frantic late-night calls. He knew what Meghan said when the cameras stopped rolling and what she really thought of her new royal in-laws.
And so I went for a bit of a deep dive, and I found the Toronto Life social pages.
That's what terrified them all. Markus wasn't just a friend. He was an eyewitness. Old photos resurfaced. Markus and Meghan laughing at parties, traveling together, whispering in each other's ears. The tabloids twisted every shot into proof of conspiracy, betrayal, or worse. Meghan was branded manipulative and Markus, her co-conspirator in couture.
And so I went for a bit of a deep dive, and I found the Toronto Life social pages. And they reported on the opening night of the Toronto Soho House. And it was very interesting to see who they mentioned in that call.
Try to discourage Meghan from keeping Markus too close, especially after private details started mysteriously appearing in the press. When I read this article, I'll read to you who attended that opening night party. Now, members from other Soho houses came in huge stars. Markus didn't defend himself. He didn't have to. His silence became its own kind of weapon because when someone who knows that much suddenly goes quiet, it makes everyone else nervous.
Now, I would assume that if the cast from Suits were invited to that opening night founding members party, which is the most, that is the...
For Meghan, it was a nightmare. One wrong word from Markus, and her royal fairy tale would collapse like a bad PR stunt. But Markus wasn't talking yet, and that made the world lean in even closer. After years of total silence, Markus Anderson finally appeared again, not with a tell-all book or a Netflix special, but with a quiet confession at a private event that mysteriously leaked online. Now, as far as the Toronto,
that you want to get into if you're going to ever be anybody. If you're not in that opening night party, then pretty much anyone who's a founding member probably wouldn't bother.
His tone was calm, measured, too calm if you ask the royal watchers. He didn't call Meghan out, but he didn't protect her either. He simply said that the truth people believe isn't always the truth that happened. Translation, he knows things, and he knows we know he knows things. And Corey Vidiello. Now, Corey Vidiello hasn't really.
I read this article. I'll read to you who attended that opening night party. Now, members from other Soho houses came in huge stars.
He described Meghan as deeply misunderstood and fiercely determined, which is PR speak for she's a handful. But I'm not saying it out loud. It wasn't a full betrayal, but it wasn't loyalty either. It was that perfect in-between, the kind that leaves everyone more suspicious than before.
Keira Knightley, Jude Law, Bruce Willis, Amy Adams, Bradley Cooper, Dustin Hoffman, Naomi Watts, Zac Efron, and Jennifer Lawrence.
Royal insiders were fuming. They called it strategic damage control. Meghan's critics called it a soft confession, and Meghan herself reportedly livid, because Markus didn't deny anything. He just added smoke to a fire that never quite went out. For years, people called him discreet. After that night, they called him dangerous, because Markus didn't spill the tea, he stirred it. After Markus's half-confession, things were never the same. The storm might have died down, but the damage was permanent.
Now, as far as the Toronto social set goes, there weren't a lot of people that really were named in this article other than Jessica and Ben Mulroney.
Meghan's circle, once filled with influencers, stylists, and pseudo-friends, shrank down to a few loyal soldiers. Trust became a luxury she couldn't afford. Everyone was a potential leak, a ticking headline. And Markus, he quietly disappeared back into the shadows. His favorite place, apparently. No more flashy events, no cozy public appearances, just gone, as he fiercely fought the battle for newspaper.
And Corey Vitiello. Now, Corey Vitiello hasn't really featured with many people. He gets mentioned